I need an outsider's perspective. I kinda feel blinded by emotion. Ive 38M been dating a woman 36F for the entire year and IDK if it's me or I am with a manipulative narcissist. So, ID been on a 5-year hiatus from dating up until my birthday of last year, December 31st. ID been scrolling Facebook over the prior few months, occasionally looking at the people you may know. ID seen one girl on there a few times, well, call her Nicole for amenity's sake, she was cute. ID told myself if I saw her on there again ID send her a friend request. I wasn't really looking for anything at the time and I was in a great spot being single so long and I felt very okay with being alone and life just being me. I digress, so on my birthday she appeared again, so I sent her a friend request. Figuring two things might happen: A, she ignores it, or B, she accepts it. We exchange a few likes, never really talk, and life goes on. I wasn't aware of option C, where she immediately accepts my request, sends me a message, and strikes up a conversation, tells me happy birthday, and then we tell each other goodnight. The following day she messaged me happy new year new friend and I replied, but that was it for a couple days. So, a few days go by and I decide I am gonna message her and see what happens. It started with a simple article that was funny that contained my name quite a few times. After that we started messaging back and forth all the time. We immediately hit it off. This is when I learned she'd been separated from her husband for 8 months, but BC of financial reasons they were still together. She told me about his narc behaviors and mental abuse along with being an alcoholic. I felt really bad for her as she was super sweet. On that following Friday she offered to bring me coffee to my house, but I declined as I was on night shift. Really, I was just nervous about meeting her, but I made the offer of a lunch date the following Wednesday and she accepted. So, our first date comes and it was simple, but very memorable as it was playful, and we had a very good time and converted for 3 hours before she had to pick her kids up from school. So, things quickly progressed as she would come by my house and hang out whenever she had time, and it helped her get out of her situation for a bit. Then one Saturday night we decided to go out for pizza. This is when her husband started to freak out on her. She just told me he was jealous and it should end matter because he knew they were over. Anyway, the dinner was great and she ended up having me call my sister up to help us finish the pizza and hang out. I remember it being one of my favorite dates. I remember sitting next to her and her grabbing my hand and holding it. Then she put a hair tie around my wrist I still have to this day. It's the little things. At the end of the date we were walking to her car and I grabbed her arm, she fell into me, and we shared our first kiss and it was amazing. She ended up taking me home after and I asked for a relationship. She had got home and her husband was gone, but he broke her spare pair of keys. And she told me that she knew she didn't do anything wrong, but she wanted to put the pause for now on anything physical. So, time progresses and we get closer, spend Valentine's Day together. We continue to be constantly in contact. By this point we are both head over heels for one another and she has done everything but tell me she loves me. Then one day she tells me some guy gave her flowers at work. I played it cool and didn't let it bother me as she said she tried rejecting them, but he wouldn't take no for an answer. I half assumed she was testing the waters to see how I felt and if I'd do the same. Over the first couple of months her husband became an increasingly intense mental abuser. She'd send me video of him freaking out on her and saying some pretty wild stuff. She was always calm, which then I chalked up to her just being scared. Believe I spent many sleepless nights worried she wasn't going to make it through. I offered her different living arrangements. At one point we started looking for an apartment for her and I offered to take care of the rent for the first year. Even told her I'd be willing to live together with her somewhere, but she just wouldn't do it. She wouldn't get an OP either. I couldn't understand why she wouldn't. So this fast forwards us until March when she shows up to my house after getting her wedding ring back from and she hands it to me crying, saying that she wants it to be in a safe space where he can't get it, and gives me a super long hug. A couple days after her and him have to take their truck to another town for maintenance, she went to make sure he had a ride back. No big deal, but on the way back she texted that he was being erratic and if she died she wanted me to know that she loved me. That's when exchange of words started. So, with her still not moving out or getting an OP on him, I started to find it odd. Then comes the day she blows my phone up mad at me about showing someone our texts and pictures. I am mostly a loner, and keep in mind I love and respect this girl at this point. I never showed anyone anything. Come to find out her husband found her Apple Watch and found everything and he freaked out. More sleepless nights ensued for me until he was driving drunk and got into a horrific accident. She texted me to tell me and said I was amazing and my family was wonderful, but she had to go to the hospital. During this time I am dumbfounded because she continued to stay in touch and send countless selfies. So, they ended up moving him to his dad's estate away. So, I am thinking finally we have more freedom, we can get the ball rolling with this and her divorce. But slowly excuses to not physically see each other were made. I asked about us and she reassured me she loved me. So we see each other here and there through the rest of March and into April. We eventually had our first argument and I can't even really remember what it was about, but she told me she was taking a step back. The thing is, it felt like she took a step forward as she was way more loving and flirty, and she even started putting time back into us seeing each other. That was until the end of April when she started acting strange. She got kinda distant, and when I asked it's like I was annoying her, and I would eventually find out from a guy messaging me that she was messaging him. Her and I had a long talk and patched things up, and for a short while leading up to her birthday about the May things were mostly great, just more and more excuses to not physically see each other were being made. About the second week of May I noticed her posting memes on Facebook about being single. I tried to pay it no mind at first, but more and more guys kept popping up on her page. So, I would ask her about the memes and she said she just thought they were funny, and I basically had told her I didn't think it was funny or respectful to me that she was broadcasting herself as being single when she wasn't. Facebook was a problem because she could be on top of my stuff, reacting to it, commenting on it, making her presence felt, but when I did that kind of thing on her page it got ignored or taken down. She'd blame it on his family being friends with her and she not wanting to stir things with them. She'd say she never ignored me, but it just took her long to get back on there, which I knew was BS, but it's Facebook so who cares, right? Then comes her birthday, May 22nd. I showered her in gifts all week long and paid for her tattoo for her. I had to work and she had her kids so we didn't get to see each other that day, but Shed posted all kinds of pictures of her new tattoo using a nice mirror I bought her. Guys were giving her all kinds of attention and I maintained my composure. She's a cute girl, but I felt like my confidence was slipping. I commented on a post she made of her tattoo that a bunch of other guys commented hitting on her and saying things about her tattoo. I commented nice mirror just to be different and be a playful turd. She removed my comment and a couple days later blocked me from socials. What was weird was she did it unbeknownst to me while we were on the phone and she wasn't at all acting like it was a problem. It didn't even get mentioned. I noticed I was blocked not long after we got off the phone, so I called her and asked what was up and she goes, just getting rid of stupid people for my mental health. It totally caught me off guard. I didn't know what to think. So a few days go by and she talks me into taking her dog she can't take care of because she works and her kids wouldn't help with it. When she brought the dog to my house, which was the first time in weeks we'd seen each other, I gave her wedding ring back. She left without giving me a kiss, and it messed with me. And things started getting rocky. A week later, while her husband was staying temporarily at the house because of a court date, she broke it off with me. I just asked if she was pushing me away and she nonchalantly goes, "Yeah, I think I am. You're a great guy, but I can't keep you in a relationship I am not willing to make time for. I feel like I've been forcing it because I really like you and I really want it to work, but I can't keep doing it." I was completely blindsided. She had seemed distant, but I wasn't expecting a breakup. So, after getting a little upset, we told each other goodnight. The next day she texted me as if everything was normal and I told her that unless she wanted to talk about our relationship or really needed something, I didn't really want to hear from her. I wanted to get over it if she didn't want me. The very next day she texted me, "Hey, how are you? Just wondering how you're doing." I gave her the same reply. So, that Friday I wake up to pictures of her in a two-piece. I am caught off guard and think, okay, she wants to work things out, and what a way to wake up. No, she was simply asking for my approval to wear it to take her kids swimming. This is when I had a major WTF moment. Texts would trickle back and forth in June, but that was the only form of communication until my class reunion, which Shed previously told me she'd be my date earlier, and she didn't leave me with enough time to find another date when she broke it off. I reminded her several times leading up to it. That Saturday came and went. That Sunday she texted me and I told her that out of all the faces I seen at my class reunion, the only one I wanted to see was hers, and she wasn't even there. She didn't reply. We went a week without any communication. I started missing her heavily, so I finally reached out. I was scared, but I knew that ultimately I just came back to work things out, and things went great. Shed brought me food. She was flirty. Things were on the up and up until I cracked one night because of her odd behavior. And then it went in reverse for a week or two. Fast forward to these past 2 weeks when her kids were going back to school and her power bill was due. She was freaking out about both and I told her I would help her. She said she wanted to exhaust every avenue before she took my help financially. I understood that, but as this time was going on she was warm and receptive. Made me think we may have a chance to turn the ship around, but then after all that was taken care of she became cold and distant. I asked her a few times what was wrong and asked why she'd been acting different until finally she snapped and said I was being too much, that she was going to stop talking to me. And that's where I am at today. I am just curious. I write this out and wow, it seems like she was just toying with me and using me, but did she do a damn good job convincing me otherwise by being in constant communication, being consistent, etc. So, I am dealing with a narcissist? She always said her ex was one, but I now wonder if he was just reacting to how she was being if she was like this the entire time. I couldn't get this edited in the post for some reason, but at the beginning of March for about a week straight all of our convos was about her ex-husband and I asked if we could talk about something else. She kinda got pissy about it, but obliged. Later on I asked her something about the situation and she goes, "No. You don't want to talk about it and that's fine, but it makes me take a step back in the relationship." In April I think I remember what the problem was. It was a bit of my insecurities with how she treated me on social media versus other guys. Like I wasn't acknowledged and they were. Again, she said, "That's a reason I am taking a step back because you said that." There were a few other little petty things where she had acted like that, too. Most of the relationship I feel as if I have to be 100% attentive to her needs, but when I bring something up I am too much. And the fact that she's just nonchalantly walked away a couple times. I mean, I am stuck on this girl head over heels, but at the same time I am seeing the cracks in the wall, and she doesn't seem to care. It's like me or my whole time spent and all my effort mean nothing. And I am hooked, so I am missing her right now after her telling me I am too much for asking why she's acting different a couple of times. If she knew I was saying this she'd probably be mad at me for it as if I wasn't being fair to her.